The doctrine of the Church concerning who Jesus is was formulated during the course of the 4th and 5th centuries, particularly at the councils of Ephesus and Chalcedon. The teaching of those councils is that Jesus Christ is one person, the eternal Son, or second person of the Trinity, existing in two natures, divine and human. One way to think about this is that the term person is the term we use when we're asking the question, who? Who was it who walked into the room? John or Mary? And the term nature is a term we use when asking the question, what? What was it that burned the house down? It was a grease fire. So when we ask, who is Jesus? The answer is the Son of God the Father. Who was it who raised Lazarus from the dead? Who was it who was born of the Virgin Mary? Who was it who fed the multitudes? And we ask, what is Jesus? The answer is twofold, human and divine. The union of humanity and divinity in the one person Jesus is what theologians call the hypostatic union, a term that comes from the Greek word hypostasis, which we ordinarily translate into English as person. What this means in practice is that Christians are able to say some fairly mind-boggling things about God. For example, when we call Mary the Mother of God, we're saying that God has a mother, since Jesus, who is truly God, is also truly born in time of the Virgin Mary. Or we say that God dies on the cross, since Jesus, who is truly God, truly suffers and dies on the cross. This belief that through the incarnation God becomes truly human is cause for us to marvel. We should marvel that God would draw so close to us, to fully and truly share our human condition, to love us with a human heart. Jesus takes on our mortal condition in order to heal it with the immortality that is his by virtue of his divinity. In solidarity with us, he is able to offer to God the human love and obedience that we, through sin, have deprived God of. The 14th century writer Julian of Norwich draws upon the rich tradition of reflection on the Incarnation in order to see the cross of Jesus as the surpassing sign of divine love. In the year 1373, when she was about 30 years old, Julian received 16 visions from God, most of them centered around the figure of Jesus on the cross, and she spent decades afterwards pondering the meaning of these visions. In one of them, Jesus looks at the wound in his side as he hangs upon the cross. And Julian writes, "Then with a glad face our Lord looked into his side and gazed, rejoicing, and with his dear gaze he led his creature's understanding through the same wound into his side. And there he revealed a beautiful and delightful place which was large enough for all humankind who shall be saved to rest in peace and love." It's as if Julian sees the suffering humanity of Jesus as something like a doorway into the infinite world of divine love, a love that is deep and broad enough to encompass all people. This puts her in mind of an earlier vision she had in which she saw the great quantity of blood shed by Jesus, and she understands this blood to be a symbol of the abundance of his love. And with this he brought to mind the precious blood and water which he allowed to be poured out completely for love. And in this dear vision he showed his sacred heart quite riven in two. Julian's vision anticipates the popular devotion to the Sacred Heart, which would appear some 300 years after her writings. Her vision is one that draws upon the theology of the hypostatic union in order to say that just as God has a human mother or dies a human death, so too God has a human heart that can be broken out of love for us. She writes, "And with this sweet rejoicing he revealed to my understanding some part of the blessed divinity, arousing the poor soul to understand, so far as it may be expressed, the meaning of the endless love that has always existed and is and ever shall be." The Christian claim, which Julian grasps so well, is that in the human life of Jesus, the divine nature of God is most clearly revealed to us. In the life of Jesus lived out in time, we see the eternal nature of God displayed before us, so that we can grasp more surely the truth that God is indeed love.